Hey YouTube, it's me, Turkish Delight. So we got an absolutely huge news drop yesterday. But before we get to the very exciting news, we're first going to be looking at a few dev comments. First of all, Amaroks said that nesting is fixed and should be coming in today's update. Unfortunately, we didn't get an update yesterday, but the back end of the game was changed in patch number, and then unfortunately re-rolled back to a patch we had on the Tuesday, I believe, if I'm understanding all of this correctly. Something did go wrong with the patch, or maybe it just wasn't to the quality that the devs were wanting. Here we see Amarok talking about the queue changes. He says that the queues allow 25 people into them before no one else is able to join. This allegedly is meant to make it such that people would feel more inclined to join another server rather than sitting in a 100-player queue. I do feel though, now, while this idea is actually pretty good in my opinion, as it means that there's only a certain amount of capacity the server can hold in the queue, and therefore we should be having less back-end issues with the servers, which might actually improve server performance by quite a lot. However, the downside is the fact that people may be queuing on these servers because they already have a Dinosaur on that server, or their friends are on that server as well, meaning that they're going to queue up anyways. I feel like this change may just cause people just to keep spam refreshing the homepage in order to get into the queue. We also see that Amarok is going to be looking at fixing server crashes, which hopefully he has managed to do. Maybe that's part of the reason why the last patch was rolled back, because certain server crashes weren't fixed properly. Another thing to note with server performance is that allegedly none of the servers have been working recently, so we can't even go in and check if anything has changed. So hopefully that gets fixed up pretty soon. Once again, we'll have to wait and see. I am personally wishing Amarok luck with this. I know that the dev team is working very hard right now, and Amarok's communication has been very interesting to look into, especially with the way that he talks to members of the community, asking them whether or not certain servers have been restarted or whether or not certain changes he's done are actually working. I really appreciate Amarok for having that engaging conversation with the community and getting us involved with his fixes. So to that, Amarok, I tip my hat to you. You are an absolute gem and a star. Last things we're going to cover from Amarok is someone asking whether or not they plan to add FSR, as Amarok said yes, and then went on to talk about frame generation. This can have quite a few performance improvements in the game, which would be really good, especially with people with lower end PCs, as they could render the game on a lower resolution and then just have it be upscaled using far less power and strain on their system. After all, the more people who get to enjoy the Isle, the bigger this community can grow, and the more people we can have just enjoying a game that we all love. The next thing that Amarok talks about is server persistence. This was a small while ago, but I didn't see anyone actually covering this on YouTube, especially as I think the stuff Amarok's saying is actually very interesting, and no one really seems to be talking about it, which makes me feel really sad for Amarok actually. There looks to be some servers that have lost persistence. Checking now. So fixing this could have some very big improvements for the servers that we have right now, which is always a really good thing, as I said before. Next, we have Dondi talking about the big guns. Ceratosaurus. Dondi reposted a meme of 500 Cera buffs, and then hitting us with the first bombshell in this video. Cerato could be getting a speed decrease in the next release. This is huge. Let me know down below, how slow do you want Cerato to get and why? And also means that it is now far more vulnerable to dinosaurs that are slower than it, meaning the mid tiers. Cerato's ability to be as effective in combat will be severely decreased, and we'll have to see what other changes it gets in the future. I, for one, am not going to put too much speculation onto Cerato in this video, but maybe in a future video I'll be trying to put in my 2 cents and trying to think about what is going to happen. We then have reassurance from Dondi on the Cerato changes. Yes, Cerato is going to be slower, but that's something else that needs to be done to be tested before I can speak the evils aloud. But I'm pretty certain Ceratosaurus will end up being a spun spot like Pteranodon. It actually turns out all of this time Dondi has been cooking up ideas for Ceratosaurus, and they are very close to implementing an idea or potential rework for the dinosaur very soon. The Pteranodon change comment is very interesting, as a lot of people who quite enjoyed Pteranodon were actually very happy with these changes, as it just improved the overall experience of playing Pteranodon as it is right now as a flying dinosaur. And the people who weren't so happy were the people who were interested in flying PvP Pteranodon. Dondi has said Pteranodon will still be having PvP, We know that Pteranodon could be getting an increase in size, potentially 2 times its weight, going back up to 90 kilograms. This basically leads me to believe that Pteranodon might be going into sanctuaries once it gets its full rework and fighting dinosaurs there. I believe that Ceratosaurus may have a similar thing going on here, where the rework that Dondi is going to propose and push into the Horde test servers will be one that brings Cerato back into its niche of being a generalist and a corpse bully. Whereas the more offensive PvP aspect of Ceratosaurus may be nerfed, meaning that a lot of people may be rather upset. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you want Cerato to return more towards a corpse bully scavenger, or do you think that we should just keep Cerato being the PvP dinosaur that it is now? Let me know down below. Have you enjoyed the direction Cerato has been going, given that the devs have been clearly listening to a lot of feedback from Cerato players ever since Dibble's release? We now have Dondi's comments on Teno, dropping yet another bombshell that Teno actually was meant to be downsized during this Horde test. In an old Dondi livestream, we saw a lot of dinosaurs lined up next to each other. Images will be shown on the screen. Careful-eyed people may notice that the Teno does look a little bit smaller than it does in-game. We've tried to replicate the scale as shown in this image, using the dinosaur shown, and we've managed to get an approximate weight of about 1,260 kilograms. This probably may just be rounded up to 1.3 tons. So we'll have to see if Teno actually loses this or if it is just the angle of the image, but he does look a lot slimmer in that render. Tell me what you guys think about a Teno downsize and what compensations would you like Teno to receive if it does get downsized. I for one would quite like its aquatic kit to be buffed, namely being able to do your alt attack in the water and your tail slam in the water. I think would be really cool. Especially if your tail slam in the water can knock opponents below you and you can sort of drown them like a kangaroo. I think it fits for Teno. I think that'd be very interesting to add into the game. Finally, we have Isle Phase 3 news. Look at this Barry walking in this beautiful grass, may I add, and the lighting as well is phenomenal. Barry here's walk cycle is very nice. I like the hip movement, I like the way it walks. It looks like a very chilled out dinosaur, and its run still has that little legacy wobble that I love it so much. It just looks like a really happy dinosaur. And in the background, you guys may notice, are those redwood trees. They seem to be indeed. A redwood biome could be coming some point in the future. Maybe soon, maybe later. And we also see the Barry alt bite, very important. One thing that I've seen floating around in the Isle community when discussing Barry is a lot of people seem to think that Barry is going to receive some sort of ambush in the water. This has neither been said nor confirmed by any developer, and the clip they always use is this one I'll be posting on the screen, which I believe is showing just the alt bite in the water moving the Barry forwards. Let me know what you guys think down below. Next we see baby Barry. What an adorable little creature this is. Look at the way his little toesy woesies are running on that sand. What a happy little guy. He's also microscopic. He is very small. We now have Kentro, who finally has a skin. It is no longer the horrific Kentro Hipsy hybrid that we were shown before. My only complaint about Kentro right now is how wobbly the spines look, but we'll have to see if it is like that when it actually gets released. But overall, the animations look absolutely amazing for Kentro, and so does the skin. I especially like the way the skin goes along the spikes. And we see a little bit of a bug with Kentro when it actually goes into sniff, with its head expanding quite a lot. And again, we see Juvie Kentro. Just a small little guy. I like that Juvie Kentro keeps the idea that a lot of the horned dinosaurs have, where the spikes look smaller when they are Juvies and a lot more rounded, and when they grow older they become more pronounced and sharpened. And finally, we have just the sweetest little guy to ever exist. I mean, look at the way he runs. I don't know if you guys have played the Monster Hunter games, but there is a very, very small, cute little guy in the background who does run like that with his little feet sort of skittering along. There's also a bird in real life that has little feet that sort of do that as well. I think it's adorable. It's a cute little guy. I don't like the way he turns into an eldritch abomination when Dondi starts messing with the model, but he's just so cute. He's just a round, fluffy little boy. I know for a fact that when Austro comes out, I will be nesting in as many Juvie Ostros as I can, and if anything happens to my baby, I will burn the entire island down to the ground. They are adorable. If I was allowed to have a pet Austro baby, I'd be the happiest guy in the entire world. Just imagine having a little bath or a shower with your little guy next to you just running around your feet. Oh, I can't. It's too adorable. We're now back onto general feedback, and a lot of people are very, very upset with the way Pin is being introduced into the game, as well as more feedback giving ideas of how we could change Pin. I understand people's complaints about Pin. I also have my complaints about Pin. I'd like to know down below what you guys think should be done about Pin in the game. Whether or not we should create different mechanics or stunning mechanics instead of just flat out pins. We have another piece of feedback from Griffith, who did nothing wrong, talking about the way that matchups aren't as fun anymore, and citing that it is the pins that have caused this to happen. I'd say it's a lot more than just the pins and the grapples. I think that a lot of combat in the Isle has been made a lot more simple. But then again, a lot of combat in Spiro was rather simple on its basis. The main thing was stamina consumption that slowed down the combat. I think right now we have way more tools at our disposal. The issue is I feel like the tools are far easier to use than they were before. That or we've just gotten better at playing the game as a community. But the reason why I think these tools have been easier to use is with stamina costs. Teno's kick in the past cost way more stamina than it does now, currently at 2%. I feel like, yes, while the damage was lowered, I don't think it's worth 2% stamina. I think it should be a lot higher, personally. Same thing with a lot of attacks. I just feel like they should be using more stamina. Of course, maybe not to the extreme length of Stego, but I do think the Stego stamina range is actually quite good, if we buff its damage back up to where it used to be. That is a very big if. If not, we can lower its stamina costs down a little bit. But let me know what you guys feel down below. Finally, we have some feedback on the nighttime changes. Earlier on in the hall test, when it was constantly storming and raining, I understood why it was so dark. But it seems to be that it's still being very, very dark, despite the fact that it is not storming as much as it used to be during nighttime. There also appears to be a bug, I'm sure you've all seen it, when we seem to have what seems to be like after images or stretching of certain outlines when it reaches like the pitch black part of nighttime. Hopefully that does get fixed. Increase the brightness of the night, or B, just make it such that night vision just illuminates your immediate surroundings. You can just sort of move around at nighttime but still get ambushed and jump scared. One thing I will note though in a lot of these images is actually the state of the moon. Not a lot of people have mentioned this recently, but the effects of the moon on your lighting is a very, very big one. Check up in the sky recently, because for the past few days, the moon has basically almost been a permanent new moon into a waxing moon, at least when I've been playing, and it's been very, very dark. But when the moon is a full moon, the game is a lot brighter. So potentially a lot of people are just getting very, very unlucky and playing on new moons when there is absolutely no light at all in the sky. But we'll have to see. Let me know down below what you guys think about the night vision and what changes you would like to have for it. And let me know which updates in the past do you think had the best night vision. Finally, we are left with our top comments. Here we have Ragnarok saying that Semi-Aquatics and the Spinosaurus trio, Baryonyx, Suchomimus and Spinosaurus, is what they're looking forward to the most. I am also looking forward to these three guys. I think they're very, very unique dinosaurs, and the fact that dinosaurs like Aloe uses arms and these guys also use their arms. I'm very, very interested to see what the devs actually cook up and what unique combat styles we'll be getting. The fact that Baryonyx in the dev blogs is stated to have a defensive stance gets me very, very excited. That maybe these dinosaurs would be kind of like boxer sort of creatures. They sort of like scrap around and box you. That's about all I can say in this video today. Hopefully we get all of these patches and updates very, very soon. After all, a lot of the servers have not been working very recently, and a lot of people just can't play the game. So hopefully we can get things back in running order. We can all enjoy the game that we love so much. Also guys, let me know down below what sort of video ideas would you like to have covered in the future. And until then, it's been absolutely a pleasure to entertain all of you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.